Hello everyone, my name's David, and I'm taping this video for Philosophy 303E with um, Professor McDonald, and this is my mother, Nancy, and she raised me and she's been instrumental with my life and shaping my values. And something that came to mind, and I've really enjoyed Kant as a philosopher throughout this semester, and something I want to talk about a lot was goodwill. So, anyways, I guess we'll go ahead and get into it. So, the format will be a little bit just of a impromptu discussion with my mother regarding how goodwill and acting in goodwill shapes the interactions you have with people in your life. All right. But yeah, as a little bit of background, Kant says that goodwill is good without limits, and that things like understanding, wit, and good judgment are not things that bring about true goodness. No matter what what things happen or what fortune comes to a person or the talents that they have, people can still do wrong. Um, if a person does not have goodwill, then they will not have the desire to do good things. But what's your motivation to always do good towards others, the people that you interact with in your life?
Well, I guess it started with my bringing up where everyone treated everybody with kindness and I guess having a profession of being on the farm, we were insulated, they call it. We were insulated from some of the situations that other people may have encountered because we often only saw our family, extended family, neighbors, and we didn't travel as much.
So being in a more close knit community, you think has a lot to do with that?
Yes, for me it did.
Okay.
For me it did.
What about now that a lot of people don't really interact with each other that much, including like extended family? There's big differences. There's large differences in how things happen now, especially with.
Well, I still don't like if my food isn't cooked right, I just go on and eat it anyway. If the order would get mixed up and if the food's okay, I mean, like French fries versus mashed potatoes, I would just go ahead and just eat the French fries. What the heck.
Well,
So I don't make a big deal about some of the things that other people would, probably.
okay. And what exactly made you want to get into nursing?
I guess from a little kid, I took care of animals, and my grandfather lived in this house. This is his house, so it's actually my great grandfather's house. And so he was sick, and I would sit with him, and he seemed to feel better. And I liked science and biology. So, and when I hear certain things, it just absorbs a lot easier than maybe another profession.
Yeah.
It seemed to be my niche where I didn't have to work so hard to understand, what to do, when you care for people. And now I prescribe medicine, so I understand. I've taken enough chemistry and physics to understand, how medicines work. And so it just came a little easier for me than maybe another type.
So would you Kant brings up in the work that I'm covering, I forgot the name of it. I'll have to I'll put it in the full workup, but I doubt you've ever read it. But anyways, the he brings up fortune, and that just, would you consider yourself fortunate that and something that makes it easy for you to make sure that you're when you're in social circumstances that for the most part you're putting for you it seems like you put people's other people's welfare first. And would you say being fortunate just allows you to live your life the way that you want to, or do you think you'd still be in doing the things that you do now, even if you weren't quite as fortunate? Still try to live your life in the same way.
Well, I guess some people had insight and kind of directed me in certain directions. I could have gotten married right out of high school, and then who knows what direction and how fortunate I would have been. But I think I have been very fortunate. Very fortunate.
So,
I don't know that I really answered your question.
it's fine. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
The I'm gonna look back over this and use it for my notes, and that way I can just record the interaction because that's the more important part of it. But so there's goodwill and then there's ill will. I don't know if I've ever asked you a question like this before or not, but how have you seen ill will go wrong in your life?
Now, first of all, goodwill is very subjective.
So Kant gets into it. He talks about goodwill as being like a state of mind where it's you're always having a good result is the actual end goal.
Now,
if having a good result and your actions are fitting to have that result, but only in that situation, then that's not universally good. It just means it's for that circumstance.
Yeah, if we were at the table and you reached across the table with your fingers to pick up something, and I then smacked your hand.
Yeah.
Is that goodwill? It was intentional.
But see, now in that situation, it would be.
Yes.
Yeah. So because there's quite a bit that would go into that or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
or someone's 600 pounds, and you put them on a diet.
Yeah.
And they eat a third of their food, and they're very hungry for 2 or 3 weeks until they get used to that, for example. Now, is that goodwill?
Yeah, because you've already you have qualifiers.
Okay.
So that's
I can understand what he's saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a qualifier. So but you have a qualifier that this person is morbidly obese. So but the let's see. When you have a problem in your life, or when you do something with a purpose, the behavior is suited for the result that you want. But if the result you want is a universally better place for everyone, then doing good, if you want the world just to be a better place, then you don't go about doing. This is what Kant says. You don't go about doing each action just to have the best result at the end of the day for that one thing. You live your life such that doing good you try to do good universally, so that and that's how you bring about goodwill. It's probably like the lowest level way I can explain it.
Yeah, if I for ill will, now if I were teaching you how to swim and you just wouldn't get in the water and you were looking at it, I wouldn't push you in the
you wouldn't
pool.
obviously just like it's like some rule you turn 5 and you throw your kid in the water, even though they're they have some medical issue and they can't, there's no reasonable way they can swim. There's no qualifiers in the depth of the pool or anything.
Ill will, doesn't always justify what you're doing. You have to and you almost have to let the other person choose sometimes.
That's how I try to do things, and I find that it comes about that when you're too some people, especially nowadays with my interactions with people, that if you're too open-ended with the type of, you're kind of like recommending something, a course of action, like, oh, what are we gonna do? It could be a social situation or whatever. Some people don't really like that too much, but allowing people to make choices along the way um, when it's something that you're doing that could possibly affect them is definitely good, and I agree with that. But something I want to touch on is that we watched a recent movie together. The why is it Marvel, the Avengers, Infinity Wars, and the bad guy in it, he went through and killed half of the because the planet that he grew up on was plagued by overpopulation. He went on to go and like kill half the people on every planet that he visited later on, and he ended up making a weapon that when fully powered could basically he could basically make a wish, and his wish was to eradicate half of the life of the universe, and he did that at the end. So in that situation, he's like in his mind he's justified and he's coming from a good place, but he's using ill will with no both ill will with no like a actual um, regard for the people that he's trying to affect
Yes.
in that situation.
Yes. He
So
was not remorseful.
and yeah, and he wasn't. He was but yeah, and he wasn't remorseful about it, everything like that. So part of goodwill is that in a situation where you're helping people, um, first and foremost, you're putting them first, and having a choice and everything like that from in the context of a conversation. That's the best way to put it. But doing good universally through goodwill, um, uh, why would it would you mind giving me an example of something that you've seen in your life where giving someone too much goodwill has gone wrong?
All right.
I know it's difficult. I have a couple situations off the top of my head, but yeah, I'm not sure if they're suiting really.
Well, probably. I'm thinking of something that is probably wasting resources or lives unnecessarily. You know, and I guess our some of our freedoms have resulted in
I'm
America
thinking maybe war.
have resulted in unnecessary situations.
Yeah, war as an institution. In order to at all costs we must protect our freedoms.
When a doctrine or political standards have caused people to
I wasn't honestly expecting
lash
that.
out against each other.
Yeah.
Something that isn't even material.
Something that might be intangible,
A concept.
it might be pride or undue. So in order to try to just make sure and quantify, I think, what we're talking about for the video purposes. I think what we're talking about is just war in general as an institution and uh, nationalism, maybe. I don't know. Would you agree to
Yeah,
that?
yeah. And not take it too far.
Okay.
If we respected each other's differences truly, then we would have limitations in how far we took
Okay.
our own standards.
Yeah.
Yes, they're no longer that sacred once they're taken out of context and they destroy someone else's ability to live out what they want to do.
I agree completely. But we're out of time, so
Okay.
yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for the interview. It's
You're
been
welcome.
pretty good. Yeah. All right. Well, hope y'all enjoyed the video.